Yes, sir. Episode 9, Big Papa Bobby Hoops back in the building and on the pod for you, the people. Bobby Hoops, hooting and hollering. He's rolling, baby. Woo-hoo! Big Papa. He's dead. He is dead inside. Hey, on today's episode, March 20th, 2023, we talk about the first 4 days of the NCAA tournament. They were wild. They were hype. How can you not love this sport? It's simply the best time of the year. This is March. We'll talk about some games, the ones that shocked the world, the ones that, well, you know, if you picked Colgate, you're an idiot. Shout out to you, Big Papa. Colgate train. You know, we'll mention Missouri because they got beat. Cats also got beat. Tennessee, however, marches on. They will go to the Sweet 16. We'll talk about that matchup. We'll talk about how the East region opened up and any other games that stick out to us. And then, Big Papa turns up the heat just a tad. Not 400 degrees, but definitely up to 250. Hey, episode brought to you by our good friends at Realty Executives. Please, 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 please hear us out. I'm trying to help you understand. Realty Executives, Big Pop and Bobby Hoops, those dudes are arguably some of the best realtors in Knoxville. How do you measure that? Honestly, not really sure. I can just tell you they give a rip about you, and they give a rip about you being the hero at the end of the day. Call Rob today. Call Austin today. They'll make you feel like the champ and get you a dub in 2023. Folks, let's ride! What up, everybody? Episode 9. Big Pop and
Vols, baby.
We're back. Somebody's more than alive, hooting and hollering, and I am dead inside. So,
Gosh, what a weekend.
yeah, you could say that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This is March.
This is March.
For better or worse, this is March.
Some people are just mad and sad, and some people are like, let's go, baby, second weekend.
Yeah. I'm a happy guy.
You should be.
Bobby Hoops is happy.
We've said it before, and I know I've said it, that, like, Tennessee fans in Deacon deserve, the funny phrase lately has been, you deserve to be given your flowers. Like, you deserve to have some type of success in the postseason, not just SEC tournament play. And here you are.
Here we are. We beat
the
Duke.
Bracket, that region has opened up for you all. Like,
it's crazy.
I mean, Michigan State plays
Kansas State.
Both are.
And Kansas State's good. Michigan State's good. I mean, at this point, I mean, we'll get into it more, but like, I don't know. When you reach the Sweet 16, throw out all the seeds. Everybody's good. Everybody's either really good or really hot, and maybe those are the same thing. But like, everybody's good right now. I don't care that FAU has a 9 next to their name. They're a good team, and we can't look past them. But
yeah, it's
fun. Tennessee has not been in many Sweet 16s, so this feels pretty good to be able to, especially now that they're playing in Madison Square Garden, the greatest arena in the world. And so anyway,
here's some scores going all the way back to Thursday. Vols taking to Louisiana in the first round, 58-55. Your Terps squeaked out a 2-pointer over West Virginia.
First game of the tournament.
Everybody's favorite darling, Furman Paladins take it to Virginia, the first upset.
Virginia just said, here you go. Here's the win.
Yeah, here you
can have it.
Missouri won the first game. Rest of them was all pretty much chalk. Outside of Princeton, big dub over Arizona. That was one that I was listening to some folks talk about it, and they were Arizona kind of in that category with Purdue of the last consecutive years they have lost to like a 13, a 14, and a 15. And it makes you think like, dang, I I don't know if
Yeah.
it's the 10 thing, don't know if it's Pac-12 thing, but maybe it's
If anything, I don't know if it's maybe it's a thing with Arizona and Purdue and maybe a couple of these other, but it's like it just goes to show now it's everybody's good in this tournament. Everybody can win. It's I mean, here we are 3 straight years of a 15 seed being in at least the Sweet 16. Like these these boys can ball all over the place.
the
You want to
parent.
know what game even I picked Missouri to win, so at least I get to say I was right about that.
You are.
Texas A&M, man, I
Oof.
I didn't see that coming at all. I had them in my Elite Eight. I mean, they had such a great, they turned it around and had such a fantastic season. Finished in second in the SEC, and lost in the championship of the SEC tournament, and just got blitzed by Penn State in the first round. I mean, I did not. I mean, I know Penn State's a good team, and obviously they shoot really well, and they shot really well. But man, I didn't see Texas A&M getting just crushed like they did. To me, that was one of the biggest surprises of the first round.
100%. My biggest surprise was probably Colgate not going to the Elite Eight.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine picking Colgate? Would you have them in the Elite Eight?
Yeah. And I
No.
would have been a genius. A genius.
What's the opposite of a genius then?
A numbnuts.
Yeah, there you go.
Dingbat.
Lost by 20.
Like, wasn't even close, but
You picked the wrong 15 seed.
I ate up the entire talk about like Colgate. Colgate's the matchup for Texas. This is the game. I said it. I was like, circle this game, bet the house. This is it. Colgate, run it. And then they get beat by 20 in the first round. Cool. Friday, Cats take down Providence 61-53, win their first NCAA tournament game since 2019. That was fun.
Hopkins did nothing, too.
Nothing. Got clapped by Jacob Toppin. Toppin took that one. I actually think Hopkins is a great kid. It makes me,
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
way he was playing all season, it made me really sad because I was like, we could use him. And then that one kind of reminded you of like, well, there is a reason why. There's plenty of circumstances of like why he left, but I was also like, I mean, Jacob Toppin's a transfer from Rhode Island, and he won that matchup. So I'm kind of like, yeah. Pitt beat Iowa State. That was a weird one. That one's like watching two
Beat
middle
him
school.
pretty good.
Yeah, it was like middle school basketball. Of course, the biggest one from Friday was Fairleigh Dickinson taking it to Purdue. Unbelievable. Like,
Unbelievable.
come on.
I mean, unbelievable. Also, it's Purdue kind of believable. I
Maybe we
think
need
everybody was saying that of all the ones, Purdue was the weakest, and still had a great year, but
I'm from now on, I am fading Purdue
yeah,
when it comes to postseason basketball
yeah.
until they prove something. Now I also know they met up with St. Peter's in the was it Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight, whatever. Right? They moved to a couple rounds. But until then, fade them. Saturday, Tennessee beat Duke.
Beat
Take
the
it to
crap
Duke.
out of Duke.
I'm telling you, like when Euros got those two quick fouls, again, maybe the script was on. It was all on purpose. We were trying to frighten you and say it's going to be a bar fight. And guess what?
It was Saturday. Watching that game that'll go on my short list of one of the most fun Tennessee basketball games I've ever watched.
Good.
It was so fun. It was just I was so nervous, and we'll get into it more in a little bit, but to beat Duke and kind of beat the crap. I don't care that K's gone. I don't care, I don't care that they're in a new era. There, it's Duke.
It's Duke. That's it.
And we beat the crap out of them.
Yep.
And so
Arkansas taken down. 72-71.
Musselman ripping his shirt off at the end.
Unbelievable. Second round. Why not? Rip your shirt
Why
off.
not?
Why not? Call the Hogs, baby.
And yeah, Kansas was without Bill Self, which is, head coach. That's a big thing. But I mean, I didn't pick that one, but it didn't surprise me. I knew Arkansas. Arkansas is good, man. Scored 45 in the second half.
We've said it before. The ceiling was always higher because of the talent they had, which is Nick Smith Jr., Black, White,
Davis.
They have a higher ceiling. And then Princeton beat Missouri.
Yes.
Yes.
We did it.
We did.
We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Eat it, Missouri.
Gosh. Who'd have thought this whole time it was going to be the Princeton?
It was going to be somebody. We just didn't know it was going to be Princeton. But
could you imagine?
What, rooting for Missouri?
Yeah, being a Missouri fan today.
Look, I know Kentucky lost the following day to Kansas State. Whatever. Kansas State's a 3 seed. Michigan State beat Marquette. That was a big one. Creighton beat Baylor 85-76. Whatever. I mean, some people may not really think that was an upset, but
I had Baylor in my Elite Eight. That was a game that and Creighton beat them pretty solidly. It was a decisive win. And the same for Michigan State. Marquette, a lot of people, including me, I had them in my Final Four. That was but again, it's March. Tom Izzo, it's not a guarantee, but
what's the
reason he has the reputation he has.
Yeah, January, February,
Izzo, April. Yeah.
Florida Atlantic did beat Fairleigh Dickinson 78. But again, FAU playing Tennessee not nobody to just gloss over. Miami handles Indiana.
Miami's looking good.
Gonzaga. This could be a year where Gonzaga, they've gotten to the Final Four in the last couple of years, but the way it's opened up for them too.
I mean, and it felt like nobody was really talking up Gonzaga before this tournament. No, I felt like they had, and obviously, they've beaten teams that are lower seeds than them, and probably teams that they should win anyway. But they're still Gonzaga. They still have Drew Timme, and we'll see. They got it's a big matchup against UCLA, but
that'll be fun.
Yeah, it'll be a good one.
So here's real quick for Thursday and Friday this week. Thursday night, Tennessee, Florida Atlantic, 9:00. Go get the coffee ready, ladies and gentlemen. Get it pumping. I'll do it, and my wife will get mad at me. Like, why are you drinking coffee at 8:30? Because ball, babe.
That's ball. Right. That's right.
Michigan State, Kansas State, Arkansas, UConn. Hey, that'll be a fun one, folks.
That'll be a good one.
Watch that. 7:15 CBS and Gonzaga and UCLA. Friday night, we've got San Diego State and Bama. That could be fun. This will be fun. Miami and Houston.
San Diego State has the defense to slow Bama down. I don't know if they have enough, but anyway.
Miami and Houston, that will be a fun game. Hey, also another game that everybody obviously had, Princeton and Creighton.
Yeah. In Loserville.
Yeah, we love Loserville. And then Xavier in Texas. 3-2 action. So there you go. We made it through the first 4 days, folks. I loved it, despite my, the team that I pull for losing. It just, there's nothing like it.
It's just so fun.
It's all day long. You don't have to be like, what are we going to do this weekend? Turn TV on. Yeah. Watch the ball, babe.
That's right.
Anywho. All right. Your quick recap. What are your thoughts? Tennessee wins both games. First game again against Louisiana. You figure it out. Win a rock fight. Second game, kind of another rock/bar fight, we jokingly said outside of the show. But you handled Duke pretty well. So what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, the Louisiana game was – I felt like leaving that game, and I said it to you separately, but, if you were going to tell me before that game that Vescovy, Josiah James, and Julian Phillips were going to combine for 11 points and we were still going to win, I would have been like, okay, I'll take it. I mean that something must have happened elsewhere, um, for that, and it was a sloppy game. We didn't look great offensively, but it was a game where everyone else just kind of no one played great, but everyone else kind of played good enough. And I think Euros had 9, Meshack had 11. Meshack was kind of I mean, if anybody had a good to great game offensively, it was Meshack, mostly just because he didn't look afraid and he was willing to step up and take some tough shots. And Key, I think Key had 10 points in that one. It was a fun, super like awesome fun game to watch. But again, it was like, NCAA tournament, just win. I don't care how you do it. Be the winning team at the end at the buzzer, and let's survive in advance, baby. That's all we're asking for. So was feeling, I was just glad we won. Let's move on. I mean, I was pretty nervous Saturday morning before Duke. I was,
You went work out. You were that nervous.
Oh yeah, I was really nervous. I didn't watch any other games that morning or that afternoon because I just was like so nervous about it because it's Duke and they had won 10 straight going into the game and they're the ACC champs and they're Duke. I'm a Maryland fan. I grew up watching JJ Redick splash threes in my face and grin and just be ultimate villains. Like my whole life I've watched Duke be the big dog that everyone loves to hate, kind of a thing. And I knew we could, at our best, we can beat anybody. We've shown it this year. We've beaten a lot of really good teams. And I knew we could hang with Duke. It's just, would we hang with Duke? I mean, Filipowski's, he's been an amazing player for Duke this year. I think someone said he led Duke in points, rebounds, and steals this year. I mean, just fantastic player. Roach for Duke, he's scary. I was very nervous, and we just went out and just punched him in the mouth from the start of it. I mean, Euros had those two at the time. They pissed me off when it happened. I was like, it was classic Euros. Like he's just like, you're not in control. You're doing your phony tough guy thing that nobody buys,
right?
And it's just more annoying than it is. But like it was just like, yeah, it was grown man basketball, and Duke did not have the bodies to keep up with our physicality. Yeah. And we played great defense on Roach, and obviously we were lucky that Duke was, and I forget, they were without one of their starters, so that helped us. Obviously we were without Zakai too, so you can kind of even that out. But we just made it hard for Filipowski, and I'll give him credit. He did not back away. I think he still had like 13, 15 points and about 10 rebounds. He didn't shy away from it. But man, I don't think Duke faced anything like us all year in terms of our physicality and our defense. It was some of the most inspiring basketball I've seen us play all year. Maybe save the Bama game or the Kansas game earlier in the year. But man, my guy, Olivier Comwa, oh my goodness. That is what that, I mean, he did it against Texas a couple months ago, but like, that is what he can do, man. 27 points, 10 of 13 shooting, hit 3 threes, had a couple big dunks, had that one-handed putback dunk to put the icing on the cake at the end there. I mean, he played out of his mind. He couldn't miss. It was so fun to watch him just ball out. And, Vescovy did his usual thing, had 4 big 3-pointers, and Vescovy, it's been really fun to watch him in these games because he just looks like so dialed in. We're not losing. If I have anything to say about it. We ain't losing. And he's playing hard defense. And even if it's risk getting a couple fouls here and there, like watching our boys play defense against Duke was just and rebound and push around Filipowski and some of the other guys. They just had no answer for our grown man basketball game. So it was so fun. I was running around my house. I was just having a ball watching us. And of course, you have the Jay Billises and the Doug Gottliebs of the world after the game saying that they're not a fan of the dirty stuff, and that wasn't a basketball game, that was rugby, and what were the officials doing? That was shut up, man. That was just grown man basketball. We were bigger and stronger and tougher, and we pushed Duke around out there, and they didn't have an answer for it, and that's why we won. Maybe if we played Duke a couple more times, maybe they beat us a few times. But on Saturday, we were bigger, stronger, tougher, and Kamwa just was white hot. He couldn't miss. And it was so fun. And I'm so pumped that we made it to the second weekend. I think Rick really needed that to kind of calm down, to kind of down some of the fires that were maybe kind of brewing in Knoxville with the end of our season not being very fun. End of the regular season, I mean. But man, that was a lot of fun. And if we don't go any further than the Sweet 16, I can at least look back on it's not often you can say you kicked the crap out of Duke, and we did.
Yep.
And I don't care one bit about the Jay Billises or Doug Gottliebs who are, they play rugby and that wasn't real basketball, and I can't believe the officials let that get out of hand. Whatever. We just bullied them. That's all it was. And they didn't have an answer. So it was really fun. I'm really encouraged about this team. I think we have the ability to go even further than it's only happened once in the history of the basketball program. Have we gone further than we will this weekend? But I think we can do it, and I believe they can do it. But FAU is a good team, and so yeah, it was a lot of fun.
I love how much how happy you are. I love how happy you and all of our friends, really, to finally, for those who have been following basketball, whether it's been primarily Tennessee, but if you're like a basketball diehard, you've been aching for this moment ever since if you watched Tennessee basketball, and it's like you finally have the chance. Now the randomness of the tournament, random crap happens during the game. We'll see, one game at a time.
Sure.
Like you said, the region has opened up. At least.
Absolutely. I mean, I think this was, I can point to a few other games, and there's recency bias in this. This at least is on the short list, or maybe could be the biggest win of Rick Barnes' career at Tennessee. I mean, for all of the statistics that point to how, disappointing his postseason career has been, especially at Tennessee, I get it that we were higher seeded than Duke by one, but man, that's a huge win. That was a huge, huge win.
Yep.
To beat a program like Duke and beat them by, 13. So it was a lot of fun.
Could have beaten by more, honestly. Kentucky's, they beat Providence. Like we said, kind of the storyline going to that game, if folks don't know who Providence is, Bryce Hawkins played at Kentucky last year. There was all this talk about why doesn't he play more? He popped off in an LSU game. Cal makes these comments, I gotta play Bryce more. Well, guess what he doesn't play Bryce more. And he literally sat the bench the entire game against St. Peter's last year. Bryce has went on record saying that was rock bottom for him. Said, I feel like I made a mistake going to Kentucky. Providence always recruited me hard. felt like that should have been where I went to begin with, but I had, folks on the inside, whether it's family and friend, being like, you should go to Kentucky. It's Kentucky, blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
So that's why I made it. He's like, I regret it. Okay. So I'm not saying like Bryce is lying or anything. That's just kind of the storyline. And
It's
then
not nothing when Kentucky Wildcats want you. It's not nothing. I don't care how high or low Kentucky has been lately. I mean, it's a big deal when Kentucky wants you.
When Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, North Carolina, if they call, you're going to
the Mount Rushmore of college basketball teams.
Yeah.
If they want you, it's a big deal.
Doesn't mean you have to commit, but it's
no.
It's like getting called by Saban for football. It's like you're going to listen.
Absolutely,
you're going to listen. And then you have the Ed Cooley stuff, which seems to be true. That
talk about for the people that don't know about that.
Sure. So Ed Cooley, he's been the head coach at Providence for a long time. Is from there. Providence has kind of always been the school. Started to hear scuttlebutt and rumors that he was going to be the next head coach at Georgetown, which for folks at Georgetown, there's a lot of history there. They have a national championship or two, but there's, but regardless, they have a like tradition rich history school. What's the coaches you got like Big John, Little John. I'm trying to think of their last names. But Thompson, yes. So like
from Georgetown, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah.
But they're like the school, I think you would say agree, like in DC, like they're the college.
Oh yeah.
Money and all that's invested in it. They just like haven't been good in honestly close to a decade. It's not been great.
No.
So with that said, Cooley was kind of floated as like maybe the prime candidate. Looks like as of this morning, his house went up for sale. So look, we're not, Big J journo guys, but we are connect the dot guys, which is coach puts his house up for sale. I'm just saying, I don't think he's just moving across town. So there is the word that he's going to Georgetown. But with that said, that started to come out pretty quickly, like 4 or 5 days leading up to the Kentucky and Providence playing.
Yeah.
I think it really led to probably Bryce and those guys feeling more pressure than Kentucky. Kentucky's thing was you haven't won a game since 2019. Quite a bit of those guys wasn't even on the team.
Yep.
At that point in time. For them, it's just like we've only known the COVID season and losing to St. Peter's and kind of So for them, they're just like, whatever. Go out and win, hold Bryce to 7 points, 2 of 9 shooting. My boy Big Tone popped off. He had 22. Toppin had 18. Oscar had 8 points and 25 rebounds. Just light work. But, they'd go on. They had the other starters went 8, 6 points, 7 points. And then they lose to Kansas State. Kansas State, better team. Their coach went on record literally saying we've got better and more dudes than they do, and it's true. I have Missouri fans trying to be like, maybe Kentucky should talk and act or holler at this guy. Here's my thing. He's not the first guy. Dennis Gates did it. Nate Oates is like, you can name the list of younger first year so coaches who have taken shots at Cal because Cal's always done it in years past when they were winning. So
sure,
I go on record and being like, oh, the kittens, we figured them out, or we know they're terrible in pick and roll. Like, whatever. At this point, it's like, you're just calling it, but that's not. I'm not going to call the first year head coach at Kansas State to be like, hey, come. He seems fun. I'm sure he's a lot of fun to play for.
Mm-hmm.
But like, whatever, he's not wrong in saying we've got better dudes. He's right, and that's recruiting, which gets me to my point. Jeff Mason, massive, again, arguably biggest fan of the pod, sent a text, said, I'm going to try to read real quick. All right. I want to be the first to extend my support in this difficult time in Kentucky basketball. My question, Is it time to move on from Cal? He has the best tournament record of any active coach. As a fan of a program with nowhere near the history of the Cats, I don't know how they can pull the trigger. Who do you get? A young and upcomer or a proven coach looking to finally reach the pinnacle of college basketball? What happens this offseason? And then there was a big question for you, but because of the time, we'll
do that next time.
Yeah, we'll do it for the next episode. Here's my issue. Okay, first off, no, they're not. I'm not saying that there can't be another guy to fill a position for Cal. Like, there's somebody. I always love I'm not saying it's wrong to say, well, who do we get? Because I think it is a loaded question. But I think there's Kentucky fans who are like, well, there's nobody. I'm like, that's not true. That's literally not true. There are coaches out there. I think you can be selective in who you get. What they're saying is there's not a coach like Cal, which is true. Maybe Nate Oates was closest, but because of all that stuff going on in Tuscaloosa, he ain't going to be the coach. Mitch Barnhart, like ever since that came out, Mitch isn't going to do it. He off the list. So with that said, that was kind of the closest guy who maybe resembled Cal. I don't think it's time to part ways. However,
and also like financially,
can't do it.
You can't get rid of him.
$40 million if you wanted to buy him out, which I had somebody, they were like, oh, donors will do that. I'm like, not at Kentucky.
$40 million?
This isn't A&M. This isn't oil money. They have one donor who could be in the $1 billion conversation, but they've given a ton of, they have a building where the players stay that they've done, but they primarily kind of moved to football. Anyway, one donor can't do all, and they're not going to cut a $40 million. It doesn't make sense. So you're not buying him out. He's going to leave when he's ready. I don't think it's for Texas. Like, I know that's happened, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that he is too prideful and wants to end his time on a higher and better note at Kentucky rather than the lasting images be the one Kentucky fan who said, go to Texas. Because he has that ego where he wants to prove you wrong. And like I've said before, I think the fan base has now become the enemy, public number one for him. But all I have to say is I personally am sick and tired of where the program is landing. Now, I know that some Dee Dee's always giving me a hard time. She's like, y'all are so spoiled. This has only been less than 5 years of this is happening. But I'm like, okay. However, but what's the expectation? I guess that's all it really boils down to is expectations. If you were telling me, and he has built up years of equity, years, the first 8 years, unbelievable. Couldn't have asked for a better ride outside of maybe win a championship or two. But I've said before too, had they won it in 2015, I don't think he's coaching here again because he would have went 40-0. He leaves, probably goes back to the NBA. So that didn't happen. But all I have to say is unbelievable ride, built equity. However, then you lead into 9-16. You lose in the first round to St. Peter's, and now you haven't made it to a second weekend since 2018 or whatever.
Yeah. That's a lot. I know there's a COVID year in there, but
I'm just
for a fan base like Kentucky, it's unacceptable.
That's what makes Kentucky Kentucky, and I think that's the same for Tennessee football. I think it's the same for Alabama football. You name your programs where if you hold, 5+ national championships, the standard is just different. We all get to a point where we're willing to, we'll get through these hard times, whatever. And Tennessee fans can obviously speak more to that than, quite frankly, most people, which is you've been through 2+ something decades of football of we're waiting, let's go. And now we're kind of, you're back into that arena.
Yep.
My thing is we have been led by Cal, who coined the phrase, Kentucky is the gold standard, aka our podcast.
There you go.
If you're going to keep saying that, that we're the gold standard. You cannot say that the last 3 to 4 years are acceptable. That is a lie. And here's the thing. I think that when he gets asked about it, like on the here's the again that we don't have enough time. I don't believe anything he says anymore. I've stopped listening to his interviews, like win or loss. One, if it's a loss, he's only going to be up there for 2 minutes, so you don't really get anything. If it's a win, it's 10 minutes, but he's just like doing laps around people that told you so. And it's like you're doing victory dances early. We're in the middle of the season.
And all we want is you to win.
Then you go get beat by South Carolina after you do a victory dance. And it's like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
But then he'll say stuff like, put the blame on me. I empathize with the fans. And I'm like, what blame? Like, I don't even think you know what the blame is. I don't even think you actually believe what you're saying. Because he lies about, and again, I don't need to know the injuries for an 18-year-old. Like, that's personal, whatever. But when you just leave it up to thin air and interpretation of the fan base, that's when it gets loosey-goosey and these wild fanatics get up of heard Wheeler quit on the team. And it's like, we don't know that. But if Cal would actually come out and say the truth of no, seriously, he's hurt. He's got to have surgery. End of story. I don't need to know the other diagnosis. But when you don't say anything and you're just like, I don't know, we'll see, or haven't seen him, that became another ism. We're like, what are we supposed to believe? So I'm ever since the SEC tournament where they got beat by Tennessee and he made the comment of well, at least I get to go home and see my dogs. I'm out. I'm done. I'm done listening. I can't truly trust what he says anymore. And my own peace of mind, I'm just gonna be whatever, go coach. I'm not gonna watch interviews. I might read articles that maybe give an opinion, but I love them, and I think that's what makes them. It's so difficult, and I want this to work and finish out on a good note.
Yeah.
But next year for me this is it. You got the kids that you want for the system that you still think, even though NBA guys make fun of you for how outdated your system is, you still think it can work. And yes, efficiency-wise, it's up there. But guess what? When you do the eye test, it's not working because you don't have enough shooters. They get hurt. Stuff happens. Your bench depth, not there. And any guys on the bench you have, just more big guys who can't give you offense. So prove us wrong. You got one more chance for me. And after that, let's just call it a day.
Hey there, once again, it's your boy Big Papa. Sorry, I got cut off on my rant. I was cooking. The temp was just starting to turn up. I was at about, maybe 275 degrees. I was trying to get to 400, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, with that said, we will have another episode at the end of the week, maybe Friday. We'll see. Most likely it's going to be after the Tennessee game Thursday night. We'll have a recap of that game. Hopefully works out in the favor of Bobby Hoops. We love to see him happy and all of his friends that are Tennessee fans. And he will address big super fan Jeff Mason's question regarding Rick Barnes and his tournament history and so on. So we love you guys. Just wanted to hop on here real quick again and say sorry for the cutoff right there. But I will probably pop off once again. It's going to be a long summer for Big Papa. So, love y'all. Thanks for tuning in from BP and BH. Peace. Love y'all.